Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome to Street Ethics TV podcast, where we break down the unspoken rules, the raw truths, and the moral codes that shape life in the streets. I'm your host, 323 Committed Tay, and today we diving deep into the heart of this show. What is street ethics? If you're new here, buckle up, because we're about to unpack the code that governs respect, loyalty, and survival in the urban jungle. And if you're a returning listener, you already know we keep it 100. Let's get into it. So let's start with the big question. What is street ethics? At its core, street ethics is the unwritten code of conduct that people in urban communities, especially in tough neighborhoods, live by. It's not something that you find in a textbook or a law book. No, this is the moral framework that gets passed down through generations, shaped by the grind, the hustle, and the need to survive in environments where trust is scarce and respect is everything. Street ethics is about how you move, how you carry yourself when the stakes are high. It's knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and how to handle conflict without losing your dignity or your life. Think of it like this. In the streets, your reputation is your currency. Break the code and you might lose more than just clout. You might lose your safety, your fam, or your freedom. For example, one of the biggest pillars of street ethics is loyalty. You don't snitch, you don't betray your people. If someone's got your back, you got theirs, no questions asked. But it's not just blind loyalty, it's about mutual respect. You earn trust by proving you're solid, and you keep it by staying true to your word. Another key piece, respect, not just for yourself, but for the game, for the elders, for the ones who paid the way. Even in conflict, there's a way to handle things that keeps the code intact. You don't disrespect someone's family or cross the lines that can't be uncrossed. That's street ethics in action. Now you might be wondering, where does this code come from? Why do we even have street ethics? To answer that, we gotta look at the roots. Street ethics didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's a response to the conditions people face in marginalized communities. When the system, whether it's the government, the police, or the economy fails you, you create your own rules to survive. Think about it. In neighborhoods where resources are tight, where jobs are scarce, and where the law don't always protect you, people lean on each other. That's where the code is born. It's like a social contract for survival. You respect the hustle, you protect your own, and you handle the disputes in-house, because calling the authorities might make things worse. But let's keep it real. Street ethics isn't just about survival. It's also about identity and pride. It's about saying, this is who we are, this is how we move, and we don't need nobody's validation. It's a way of holding onto our identity in a world that's constantly trying to strip it away. Now, I ain't saying it's perfect. Sometimes the code gets twisted. People use street ethics as an excuse for violence or betrayal, and that's not what it's about. True street ethics is about balance, knowing how to navigate the chaos without losing your soul. All right, let's paint a picture. How does street ethics show up in real life? Let me give you a couple scenarios. Scenario 1. You're at the corner store and a heated argument pops up between two dudes. It's loud, it's intense, but nobody pulls a weapon. Why? Because both sides know there's a line. Street ethics says you settle it with words or at most fists, but you don't escalate to something that could destroy families or the whole block. That's the code holding things together. Scenario 2, somebody in the neighborhoods gets jammed up. Maybe they're short on rent or facing a legal issue. The community steps up. Maybe it's a collection. Maybe it's someone sliding them a job. That's street ethics too, looking out for your own when the system won't. But it's not all rosy. The code gets tested. What happens when loyalty to your crew clashes with doing what's right, or when keeping it real means putting yourself in danger? These are the gray areas where street ethics gets messy, and we're gonna explore those in future episodes too. So why should you care about street ethics in 2025? Because it's more relevant than ever. With gentrification pushing people out, with social media amplifying beef, and with the world moving faster than ever, the code is what keeps communities grounded. It's a reminder that no matter how much the world changes, there's still a way to move with integrity. Plus, street ethics isn't just for the block. The principles, loyalty, respect, accountability apply everywhere. Whether you're in a boardroom, a classroom, or the streets, knowing how to navigate tough situations with honor is universal. And let's be real, the world needs to understand street ethics to understand us. Too often, people outside these communities judge without context. They see the surface, maybe the violence or the hustle, but they miss the deeper code that holds it all together. This podcast is about shining a light on that truth. This will end our segment for the day, but as y'all know, on Street Ethics TV podcast, we do a 10-question Q&A that we ask our audience. So right after this commercial break, we're going to jump into that. Let's go.
Follow Thorned Hearts on Instagram. New spring, summer, fall, and winter clothing collections coming soon. Men's, women, and children all sizes. And guess what? We are proud partners of Street Ethics Music Syndicate. Tap and be on the lookout for Thorned Hearts. Hey Music World, listen up, Street Ethics Music Syndicate is back with hot new music. Be on the lookout for our artists' singles, mixtapes, and albums on the way. And did you all know that we sponsor Street Ethics TV podcast? Can't wait until Season 2 Street Ethics TV podcast. Longer episodes coming soon in Season 2. Street Ethics Music Syndicate new music coming soon. Street Ethics TV podcast live streams on Podbean, YouTube, and Twitch Fridays 8 p.m. through 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now we back on Street Ethics TV podcast, and we're going to dive into our 10-question Q&A that we ask our audience. Question 1. How would you define street ethics in your own words based on your own experiences or your observations in your community? Question 2. What's an example of a time you witnessed or practiced street ethics in action, like showing respect or handling a tough situation on the streets? Question 3. Do you think street ethics differ from traditional moral codes taught at home or in school? If so, how? Question 4. How do street ethics shape the way people build trust or loyalty in your neighborhood or city? Question 5. Can you share a story where someone broke an unwritten rule of street ethics? What were the consequences? Question 6. How do street ethics influence the way conflicts are resolved in your community compared to formal systems like the law? Question 7. Are street ethics universal, or do they change depending on the neighborhood, city, or culture, and why? Question 8. What role does respect play in street ethics, and how do people earn or lose it in street culture? Question 9. How do you think street ethics adapt to modern challenges like social media or changing urban environments? Now, question 10, our last question of the day in our Q&A. If you could teach one principle of street ethics to someone who's never experienced street life, what would it be and why? Right, fam, that's a wrap for today's episode of Street Ethics TV podcast. We just scratched the surface of what street ethics is all about, the code, the roots, and why it matters. Next time, we might dive into a real life story on how the code got tested, so you don't want to miss that. Shout out to all y'all listening, whether you're on the block, in the birds, or anywhere in between. If you're feeling this, hit us up on X at Street Ethics _ with your thoughts. What does street ethics mean to you? Leave your answers and comments in the comment section of this episode. And if you have any questions about today's show or any questions about today's Q&A, leave your comments in the comment section also, so we can chat and chop it up on our next episode of Street Ethics TV podcast. Subscribe to Street Ethics TV podcast on our YouTube channel and follow Street Ethics TV podcast right here on Spotify.